Afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this project management virtual seminar. There's a few more people coming into the waiting rooms, but there's loads of us today. This is great. I know everyone is very, very busy, and the sun is just started to come out in Brighton, so we won't take too much of your time. We'll try and keep this session to about half an hour. First thing is that we are recording this. We're going to send a full recording of the session out via email either later today or tomorrow morning, which you can obviously watch. And just need to tell you in terms of GDPR as well, if you don't want your face to be seen, please turn it off now, your video. Very good. All right. So I'll start by introducing myself. I'm John O'Cox. I'm head of marketing here at Learning People. I've been with the company for 8 years in October. I'm based in Brighton, but we have homes in Ireland, in Dublin, where Robin is situated, who's on our career services team. We'll hear from Robin in a bit. We've also got homes in Christchurch in New Zealand and Sydney and the Gold Coast in Australia. And we're kind of venturing into new territories as well. Particularly France and then probably the US. So we inaugurated 11.5 years ago. It's been an immense journey to be a part of. We have over 30,000 students worldwide that we've enabled to either start new careers or upskill in their current profession. And we're all about student success and helping our students to enroll and embark on a better career and ultimately enhance their lives. So that's kind of a brief introduction of who we are. We specialize in project management, careers in project management and technology as well. We're going to hear from Matt, who heads up the project management team, who's been in the business slightly longer than me, who's an absolute expert in all things project management. And we'll also hear from Mary, who's a Learning People student. And when I say we're all about student success and supporting our students, for me as a marketer, the best thing about the job is when we hear from our students who have achieved success and gone through that journey. You know, they might have seen an ad campaign on Facebook or an email or whatever it was, contacted us, enrolled with us, and then gone through a journey of passing exams and then enrolling into a job or finding work. So shall I pass over to Matt, probably, just to give us a bit of an overview about who you are in project management in general.
Cheers, Johnny. Welcome, everybody. My name's Matt. As John has said, I've been here longer than him, but only by about 2 months, I think it is, Johnny. I think I was 8 years last month, so maybe even just a few weeks. But yeah, in that time, I've basically covered a range of roles at the Learning People, starting off as a careers consultant whose job it was to advise prospective students like yourself on what the best possible career path would be, and then match that up to certifications. And then that's evolved over the years. Now I actually head up the project management team, and it's an incredibly experienced team of individuals such as myself. In fact, the advice that you can expect to hear from when you have a consultation with my team is combined of over nearly 50-60 years of consultation experience in this very profession. So yeah, if you're somebody that's thinking about inquiring, someone that's already inquired and still make up their mind, the advice you're getting is second to none when it comes to this sector and field, which I think is incredibly important. The other thing to say that's changed in the 8 years that I've been doing this is the industry. You know, project management does not stand still. And while there are certain qualifications that remain consistently part of anybody's career pathway, the nature of their work, the industries they work in, and also their background has changed massively. And I think we can all agree the last 18 months have been quite challenging. And I think the nature of the inquiries that we've received over the last 18 months reflect probably a bigger amount of disruption and change to the world of project management in that time, compared to the previous 6.5 years combined. So the upshot of that is the industry is growing. It's getting bigger. It's consistently in the top 2 or 3 professions in terms of industry demand, but also earning potential. And one of the things I really love about the consultations we're having now is that it's no longer about people thinking, well, do you know what, I might give project management a go. The power of certification is hitting everybody. 50% of our inquiries now come from people that have got upwards of maybe 10, 15, 20 years experience, that understand that, you know what, the world is changing. My certifications need to reflect my experience. So yeah, it doesn't matter what stage of your career you're at. There's never been a better time to get certified or to lean on the advice of industry professionals whose job it is to advise people like yourself on exactly what qualifications that you need.
Great, thanks very much, Matt. And I think following on from there, we should just say hello to Robin, who's based over in Dublin, who's a key member of our career services team with loads of experience. And one of, I guess, I'd call it a USP of why we're different to other online education providers is that we support our students into roles, and you can never guarantee anyone a job, but we can help you get as far as possible and prepared for interviews. And Robin is a key part of that journey. Do you want to say hello, Robin?
Oh, thank you, John. It's a lovely introduction. Should get you to start my morning days, I think. But yeah, no, before I joined Learning People last August, and before that I've got 7 years experience with a mixture of employability and recruitment in Dublin. And so what we've been doing in career services is like that. It is completely unparalleled to, you know, other providers and things like that, because what you're getting is, I suppose, it's not just a job, it's the tools for your long term on how to present yourself within your desired industry and navigate the job market. So our sole purpose, if you were to put it in a couple of sentences, is to support students to help them become job ready, to be able to navigate the job market and navigating that career change. You know, because I think we all have experience in getting jobs previously, most of us, but it's trying to navigate that career change, which can be the difficult element of it. So we've designed a 3-phase process that we guide students through in order to facilitate this. Phase 1, that is focused on building your professional brand, right? So we help you to put the foundation blocks together towards you becoming a credible project professional candidate. Regardless of your level or which sector of the industry that you wish to get into, we will help you to create your new brand, right, before you begin to approach the market. So you're fully set up. So it takes some of the fear out of it, because you already know at that point how you're going to present yourself. So it focuses on, you get guides on researching your industry, updating your CV, and updating your LinkedIn within to create this new brand. Phase 2 then focuses on networking, right? So what we'll get you to do is that get you to out into the market, engaging with project professionals. And by having these conversations and learning this really valuable information from people who are in the thick of it, who are in it as it's happening now, and kind of like Matt touches on, it's constantly evolving, it's changing. So you got to make sure that you're presenting yourself in line with what is currently hot in the market. So not only from this is this going to help add in a few extra blocks onto that foundation of you being a credible project professional, we also put such a focus on not relying on only making applications to job boards, right? This is a reflex that I think we've all been guilty of, whether you're a career changer or not. I need a job, I'm going to apply for as many jobs as possible. Right. But at the same time, we all have heard the stories. I've applied for 100 jobs or 200 jobs and I've had no responses. Right. So that there is a byproduct of the fact that the online job boards, unfortunately, are not a true representation of the availability of opportunities in the market. They only represent 30%. So you're scratching the surface there. And that tells us if this is your only method of job search, then it's almost guaranteed to take you longer to find a job. So taking all of that into account, what we do at Career Services for Students is we help you to build a targeted and structured plan where you're balancing multiple methods of application, which gives you a much stronger probability of achieving a positive result. And we see this in our students. Those that follow the structured plan get way more interviews than those that just apply for jobs online. Phase 3 of the process then covers predominantly things like interview preparation and support. We'll do mock interviews, whatever is sort of needed to help you ace it on the day. We also cover topics like job application techniques, such as how to beat that applicant tracker system, also known as the AICV reviewer, and how to build relationships with recruiters. And in addition to that general 3-phase process, you have a consultant like myself on hand for tailored. Now, this is really key. We tailor the process for the needs of each individual student, right? There's so many different flavors of project management and ways to enter in it. And we just know that all individuals are different and their circumstances are different. So it's tailored to you to get you where you need to be. The support will last for you all the way up until you start your new role and beyond it, right? Myself and Mary are still in contact. But it really is like, it's impartial and tailored support, right? That's what makes us different to other providers. I don't work on commission, right? Our job is to support you to get you into the role that you need to, rather than fill any targets, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, Robin. It's fascinating, particularly the 30% stat.
Can I just add a dovetail off that actually as well? Talking about changes that we've had over the last 8 years. I think the biggest change is the fact that as an organisation, we've gone from focusing on just certifications, because certification being key, to actually recognising that the job market has changed so much that it's actually that advice coupled with that makes such a big difference to our students. So yeah, definitely that influential. You're not underselling anything there, Robin, for sure.
So I think we would like to speak to Mary a bit now. So just very briefly before we went kind of live with this seminar, just a quick catch up with Mary. So you're in Cardiff, which is one of my favourite cities in the world. It's beautiful place. Yeah. Beautiful place and fun. What's the weather doing in Wales?
Well, it's not raining, which is unusual, but it is a little cloudy.
Just normal day then. Normal day. Yeah. But thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you. So we just want to understand a bit more about your journey and how you came to enroll with the Learning People and what you're up to now. So maybe if you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your career journey to date would be fantastic.
Yeah, of course. Well, throughout my journey, I worked for several different industries. So this included technology, SaaS businesses, prop tech, real estate, financial services, luxury sales, you named it. I was a business manager in each one. And these range really from people that were startups through to multinational corporations. Now, I was working as a manager in each and within projects with each business, but was never actually a certified project manager. And in my latest role, the company I was with, I became their sole project manager for the business. So I was working through and doing my thing, and actually it got to a point where one of my projects failed, as they sometimes do. And I wanted to know why. I wanted to know, was I doing the right thing? And that's what made me decide to actually go down the qualification route.
Right. So in terms of the qualifications, you got in touch with Learning People and spoke to a career consultant, and did they advise you on what qualifications to sit, or did you have a good idea of what you wanted to?
I had no clue what I wanted to do. I knew I needed to get certified, but I did not know what. So I'd done a Google and different providers and spoke to yourselves. It was really the advice that was given at that point that made me decide which courses I wanted to do, what was right for me. I wasn't sure, because I've also gone on to do my PMP now following my PRINCE2, if I actually had enough experience to do that, because obviously you need about different experience levels to go through these qualifications. But speaking to Oliver, my contact at that point in time, he talked me through everything that was right for me as a project manager.
Okay, so you embarked on that training. And how would you say overall that the training was in terms of challenge? Was it challenging?
I mean, it was challenging because you're balancing work life and training. So you can't go in blind to that. But actually, the support that was given to me, there was a conversation of, do you need me to check on you weekly from my support officer with you guys? Like, do you need me to monthly, weekly? I'm like, weekly, please. Otherwise, I will slack. So it was having those conversations of those learning commitments and advice along the way. And I knew I could pick up the phone if I was struggling. So it was a balance. And I actually failed one of my exams. And I love the fact that I could actually resit and I had the confidence to do that. Before my exams come up, my own tutor would call me and talk me through and see how I was doing my mocks and give me guidance on what I maybe needed to study more.
So, you didn't, obviously, if you fail an exam, you fail an exam, and then you sit and go again. So, how did you break it down, or how many hours per week could you study whilst you were working?
So, I would probably pick up about an hour in the evening, maybe over my lunchtime in the week, and then I do a couple of hours over the weekend. So, 7 7 hours, I suppose. 8 hours is what I aimed for, and I'd normally find myself doing about 12 because I would review.
Yeah.
But I'd keep myself just between those sort of 8 to 12 hours a week.
And so Matt, typically this is we have a lot of students that come to us who have to obviously juggle studying with their work, and that might be someone who's going from a complete career change, working in hospitality or retail, or there's so many transferable skills in project management, isn't there? And also those looking just to, who are already in project management, look to upskill as well. They still have to juggle their time, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and I think it's probably the most common question I was going to say that we get asked, that we ask all of our students, because I think people need to go into this with a bit of a reality check. You know, they need to understand that it is a commitment and they are doing studying. However, it's not school. It's not a university. You're not given a calendar which says you've got to do 20, 30, 40 hours a week. And sometimes we speak to students, we ask them, how many hours a week are you going to put in? And they go, like, 25, 30. I'm like, you just told me you're working 35, 40 hours a week. Where's this magic place that you live that you have 48 hours in a day? It doesn't exist. But the answer about how much time you should be putting in is how much time you can afford to put in. You know, we've had some of our most successful students be successful on 5 or 6 hours per week. You know, that's quite often quite a common thing, and one of the reasons we give people 12-month training licenses. But it comes down to you and your circumstances. You know, if you want to do this quicker, by all means you can do. If you're somebody that's been furloughed or somebody that's like got a window in between contracts, then by all means you can push yourself and do more hours a week. But the great thing is, it's education that fits around your life rather than your whole life being put on hold and having to fit around the timetable that we give you. So Mary's experience there is absolutely wise and probably the most common we get. It comes down to what you feel comfortable with, what your retention and revision schedule is on top of the actual learning that you undertake as well.
So Mary, how certification helped you climb the project management ladder?
Well, following getting my PRINCE2 and my Six Sigma, I've actually just accepted a new role, which is a massive step up from what I'm doing at the moment. It's with a bigger, more substantial company. It's a big pay rise. It's a good work-life balance. So I've actually secured a new role, which I start in 2 weeks.
Congratulations. Brilliant. Yeah, super impressive. Yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Was it a grueling interview process, or did you have the confidence going into it?
It wasn't grueling. I couldn't have done it without Robin, actually. I will say fair play to Robin. I couldn't have done it without her. So I went on those initial webinars on your personal brand, so your LinkedIn, your CV, and made sure that everything was right for that. I actually then got approached through my LinkedIn profile for this role. It wasn't a job I applied for. So again, those things that Robin talks about, is having that brand is important. So the person came to me about this role. And then with Robin going through my CV like home, making sure those right words are in there when I applied, helping me with exam practice, especially in this new remote world. So the lovely new skills that she's brought me, which I'm using for this webinar as well. I will say, everyone, having those little notes under the face, under the camera, so it looks like I'm talking to you and not reading at all.
Perfect.
That echoes what I was saying earlier, though, doesn't it, about how the fact that the power of certification remains king and queen. Everyone knows how important the certification is. It's why we're all on this call today. But it's that extra layer that now adds on top of that. It wouldn't be enough in the current and modern job market for you to stand out just with the certifications. And I think the words you used earlier, Robin, were personalised and tailored. Absolutely that. Hearing you say that, Mary, that you wouldn't got the job if it hadn't been for Robin's assistance, kind of explains Robin's smile when you were telling us about your new position. But it just reinforces that other people out there say they offer a career service. It's diluted. The power comes from getting to know you as a candidate and how you should interview. And I love that aspect of it. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, the certifications were amazing. They certainly got my name out there, and it gained that interest within online, but I wouldn't have gotten through the interviews. It's been so long since I've done an interview anyway. And then virtually, it's a whole new world. I just needed that support.
And particularly to be headhunted as well. That's yeah, brilliant. So what's
a little ego
dream?
boost, I will say. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again, Mary.
It's a little ego boost, I will say. I did quite enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you deserve it, absolutely. So what actually is the role, and what kind of, on a day-to-day, what will you be doing?
So I'm sort of being a project manager within a communications company, but they focus on putting in things like this. So Zoom, Team, all these kind of online tools that we now use within businesses. So their recent clients have been Ralph Lauren, they've been actually the UK government, and actually setting up this communications within their CRMs around the world. So I'll be being a project manager for them, helping them basically our clients get on board and use their systems fully.
So there's lots of opportunity to grow within that role as well.
Oh, it really is. It's a really fast growing business as well. It's just been up for several awards. We've just secured some more funding from Cloud and Content, which is the US based company. So yeah, it's a very, very exciting role.
Super exciting. So do you start in 2 weeks, or you started 2 weeks ago?
I start in 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay. Well, we need to have another chat after you started to understand, some of the challenges within the role and whatnot would be great.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Robin, was Mary a star student? Did you have to work hard molding her?
She was amazing, like amazing, brilliant. So like you spoke about on the workshops that we do. So I forgot to mention those. So in addition to the one-to-one support that we do with Career Services, we do monthly workshops quite like this, where we laser focus in on certain topics, and it brings kind of a community of our students together. So like I know, Mary, that you've connected with other students through that and things like that. So it's another additional kind of part of it's inserting yourself in that community and learning from people that are in the exact same boat as you. But Mary was absolutely fantastic. Everything that I advised her to do, she did immediately. Right? And that is how it works. Like, we give you the process. If you follow it, if you work through the steps, you will end up like Mary, right? She never questioned anything, and she always asked questions. She always wanted to know more. She's very enthusiastic, very engaged. And I even remember when I mentioned it internally that you had got a job, I think about 3 or 4 of the student care team went, "Oh, amazing. I'm delighted for Mary. So great to hear that Mary has got that. She deserves it." So you've been a pleasure to work with, Mary.
Thank you. Yeah, no, actually one of the student care team, they emailed me to congratulate me as well. So I will say the relationship that I've got with that student care team is brilliant. That's
what we want to hear. We want to hear our students getting into new roles. It really is. It's what we're doing for. So what advice then would you give to anybody on this session today, Mary, looking to potentially start their studies with learning people?
I would say really be quite strict with your time. Set aside your time if you decide if this is what you're definitely going to do, and know this is a commitment. As we've discussed this previously on this call, and it's making sure you're quite strict with yourself, knowing your learning styles, knowing what you need support wise. If you're a person who can cram and get it done that way, do it that way. You've got this license that is available to you. One thing I'm doing at the moment while studying for my PMP, I've got this whole wealth of other things that can support me in my journey that I have access to. So I've got my hours set aside for my PMP learning, but then anything spare, I'm sort of basically making really the most of this platform, this learning that I have. So absolutely make that 100% use of those licenses, see what you can learn through it. Be very strict with your time. I have a little timetable which is above me here on the wall, which I will stick to when I'm studying, and I will cram that last week before an exam, and I'll just block out like different modules. So I think the thing is be very aware that you'll need to be very strict and self-motivated.
Yeah, okay. Very good. It's a wonderful story. So we've been sent some questions from everybody on the session, which we've broken down, and I'll read some of these out. So this is to kind of all of us to discuss. The first one is from Brian. So we'll go to Matt first. Brian says, "I'm 50 and I want to move back to the UK to start a career in project management. Is it a good move to transition into a new career at my age?"
Yes, is the simple answer. One of the things that 8 years experience has taught me with project managers is age doesn't matter. If you think about what project management is as an industry, it's time-based. They want somebody that can come in and do the job to their desired level and responsibility. Doesn't matter whether you're 25 or 65 in that respect. So they just want somebody that they know can do the job. And in fact, it's often been alluded to that project management age is an advantage. Sometimes they want people that have got a wiser, older, more rounded, experienced head on their shoulders. So yeah, age definitely isn't a barrier. And something I actually learned the other day about the salaries. It's one of the the weirdest industries I've ever seen, actually. That the average salary goes up for every decade that you enter. So like if you're in your 20s, the average earnings high 20s. If you're in your 30s, high 30s, 40s. You see where I'm going with this? You don't hit a ceiling. So again, age is a continued advantage with project management, regardless of where you're at in your career.
Mary, was a project management salary something that interested you about the career, or was it more about what you
I mean, yes, it was. It really was something that interested me, and especially when I've been looking for these new roles, I went in with a solid expectation and talking to them about it. So I didn't realise actually the potential for it, and it was speaking to you guys at the beginning that I realised actually I could be earning an awful lot more than I was.
Yeah, great. Cool, thanks for that question, Brian. This one's from Kerry. Robin. Kerry says, I already have my PRINCE2 Foundation certification, but lack experience. I'm a mental health nurse with 16 years experience. How do I get around the lack of experience?
I imagine Kerry herself doesn't notice the possible contradiction or paradox in that question, right? So if you have 16 years experience as a mental health nurse, then you've got experience, right? But it's all about how you illustrate that, right? So this all comes under the phase 1 section of career services, right? So what you need to do there is to illustrate your transferable skills, right? And the one way to get noticed in project management as a career changer is if you can illustrate your experience through the lens of the project life cycle, right? Because you've done the project life cycle, you just probably didn't call it those names, right? So it's about presenting it in that way, and you should be able to do that now from passing your foundation exam. So yeah, reach out to us. I don't see any blocker for you. You know, and like that as well, something I think that Matt would probably agree with this, but something that I find with a lot of people, if they're nervous about making that career change, you don't have to jump straight to the project manager title. You know, you can be a project coordinator. And the beauty of a coordinator role is that you are in the thick of it. You are involved in the project. You're using your transferable skills. You're learning from a project manager where you're not responsible for everything just yet. You know, so if you're that little bit nervous, look into the coordinator role would be my advice. But you've definitely get rid of the idea that you don't have experience. That's just not applicable here.
Absolutely. And I'm going to support you on that, Robin, because I think one of the questions that some of my most experienced members of my team are quick to ask anybody on a consultation is when they say that I'm not a project manager. All right, let's talk about the rest of your career, because think about people that work in ops-based roles, people that are business owners, people that have been working in IT, anybody that works in marketing. They've all got project-based experience. And it's something, like I said, I'm glad it came up because it's one of the biggest concerns. People think they're not suitable for project management because they haven't done it. You have. You almost certainly have. I even go as far as saying, if anyone on this call has done any sort of homeschooling over the last 18 months, then you are probably better equipped than most project managers we speak to already, guys. So yeah, I think transferable skills is probably one of the most #1 apt phrases for project management work.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that. From being within marketing, everything is project orientated, project based, and it's all about trying to get the best out of your team, isn't it, at the end of the day, and to a deadline. This might be one for Matt and also Mary. Salma says, why is a course better than others available on the internet? So why is a course with an education provider better than one on the internet?
There's a short answer for that. It's actually a requirement for more qualifications than you think. Like, for example, the PMI based qualifications, like if you're considering doing a CAPM or PMP, the stipulation is you have to complete a minimum amount of hours through a registered educational provider. For some of them, the PMI have even now gone as far as introducing what they call an ATP scheme, which is authorized training partner scheme, in order to be able to complete the PMP, where we're one of only 2 or 3 educational providers in the UK that have that license out of hundreds of them out there. So self-taught study gets you knowledge. It won't be enough to get you through the exam and through the qualification. And then that's why some training providers out there are quick to offer loads of bells and whistles, but drill down deeply, will it actually get you certified? And a lot of companies recognize that you have to go through certain hoops to get that qualification. So yeah, it's a shortcut to failure, unfortunately, whereas an investment, you'll get back what you put in.
Yeah,
I'm sure Mary would agree on that as well, probably.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely, I do. And I will say it's coming back to that. I'm studying for my PMP now, and to know that actually I have one of those few courses that I know I'll be able to follow that through, and then I'll be able to achieve my goals later on of becoming certified and all of those kind of things. But for my reason to choose you as a provider, so the learning people as a provider over others, was actually that initial consultation call that I had. So I did speak to a few different providers at the time, as I'm sure many people on this call might be, but it was actually the care to attention of going through my CV and having that, me going, I don't think I've got enough experience to do the full PMP. I'm like, actually, let's review it, let's have a look. I discovered that although I've been a project manager in job title for 2 years, I'd actually been doing it for about 6. It was those kind of things, and that's why I think you as a learning provider, the learning provider I chose over others out there.
That's wonderful to hear, because that's, you know, as much as we can say that that's the service we provide, you know, to hear it from somebody who's gone through it is the most important thing. So would you say, how long left have you got of your license period?
I've actually just renewed for another year, because I went through and did my PRINCE2 and PRINCE2 Agile and my Six Sigma, and then from that I decided to go on and do my PMP, so I've actually just renewed for another year. So I completed my course and then went, I'm going to stay on with these guys.
Testament to you, you got the bug. So would you say, I assume yes, because you renewed, but would you say it's been worth the investment?
100%, absolutely. It's helped me with my career, it's helped me with my confidence. I kind of I feel like I know what I'm doing a lot more now. I was probably doing it already, but now I actually have that knowledge to help back it up, and to know that those best practices are the right thing to do.
Great. Well, yeah, congratulations to you. I'm just conscious of the time. It's everybody's taking time out for lunch. Anything else that Robin or Matt or Mary?
Oh, there's one question there that's just come in around PRINCE2 from Peter, who says that why is there such a narrative around PRINCE2 and should I follow this trend? I can't see that question coming and not answer it, John. I've got to, I'm afraid. And the simple answer is PRINCE2 can quite often be enough, but more often than not on its own, it isn't enough. I mean, for those on this call that aren't aware, PRINCE2 has been around now for nearly 30 years, and it's definitely one of the de facto qualifications out there. And a lot of you will be discussing with colleagues or friends that have been project managers for years, and they will say, get your PRINCE2. And they're right. They really are right. But you've got to listen to what Mary said and what Robin have said on this call about making sure you stand out in 2021, not 2015. And that's the thing with Prince. I mean, on its own, it's a framework that a lot of companies use, but so they also use Agile, they also use Six Sigma. And, you know, if there's 20 jobs out there in your area asking for Prince and 20 that ask for Agile, well, that's 40 jobs, not 20. It also shows you're more versatile. And crucially, Prince doesn't always deal with the day-to-day human elements of actually being a project manager. You know, those elements about how to deal with the people side of things. So that is why we would always typically recommend, if you're doing PRINCE2, to combine it with another framework like Agile, and also put in a human-based qualification like a PMI certification like CAPM or PMP. So it's just about putting yourself in that top 10%, not just having a ticket and joining the back of the queue like everyone else has got it. So in short, absolutely get it, but don't have realistic expectations about what you need to complement that with in 2021.
So if anyone has got any other questions, which I'm sure you do, then you may well be speaking to some of our career consultants already. Otherwise, yeah, just please give us a call and we can answer any of those questions, advise you on the right kind of career pathway, and have a really good in-depth conversation. Yeah, I think that's probably a wrap. Mary, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your story. It's quite inspiring from going through 12 months and then renewing, and I guess it's always wanting to better yourself, and it's paying off, isn't it? So
thank you for inviting me. It's been lovely to have a chat.
Good, and good luck for 2 weeks for start date. Sounds brilliant.
Can't wait, counting.
Robin, as always, thank you. Matthew, as always, thank you very much. And we look forward to speaking to everyone soon. All right. Have a good afternoon.